It's better.
Herbert West. Frankly, Dr. Hill, your work on brain death is outdated.
The horrid screams echo throughout the halls, alerting staff and security. From beyond the door lies Dr. Hans Gruber, back to the floor, surrounded by trash. He is confused, hysterical, as another man dripped in sweat crouches over him. Dr. Gruber springs up to his feet, blood spewing from his eyes like a freshly squeezed orange. His cries of pain halt as Gruber ragdolls onto the messy floor. He's proclaimed dead to a higher mysterious dosage by Herbert West, a young medical student driven by the obsession to conquer death. When accused of murder, West retaliates with conviction.
I gave him life.
Sometime later, West arrives at Miskatonic Medical School in Arkham, Massachusetts. In an attempt to further his studies in medicine, West is introduced to fellow medical student Daniel Kane by Dr. Alan Halsey, the school's dean, as well as Dr. Carl Hill, the school's eminent brain researcher and grant machine. Herbert West is no fan of Dr. Hill, as the shady doctor has made a career plagiarizing Dr. Gruber's work. Back home, Dan digs out his fiancée Megan Halsey, daughter of Dean Halsey, before Herbert West arrives inquiring about an extra room available for rent. Although Megan is trepidatious concerning Herbert West, Dan agrees to give Herbert the room, including access to the large basement of the building. After demonstrating how to properly expose a cadaver's brain by peeling back the skin like a large orange, Herbert West scoffs at Dr. Hill's 6 to 12 minute theory like a brat sitting in grade school, further making West a nuisance and an enemy to Dr. Hill. During a brief celebratory dinner at home, Megan leaves with Dan, leaving Dr. Hill silently enamored with lust and obsession in his eyes. Back at Dan's apartment, Meg discovers Dan's cat, Rufus, dead, stiff as a board within Herbert's private room, stuffed into a small refrigerator, along with the same puzzling green liquid that resurrected Dr. Gruber in Switzerland. West claims the cat was already deceased when he found it. However, Megan calls him out for his bullshit. Later that night, Dan awakens to the horrid screams coming from the basement. Dan takes a header down the stairs and finds West wrestling with a strange creature lodged onto his back. Eventually, the creature was disposed, revealing it to be Rufus, Dan's dead feline who had just been killed for a second time. After briefly losing his shit, West attempts to explain his work to Dan, but Dan isn't easily convinced. That is until West once again reanimates Rufus with the special reagent, causing the poor animal to once again be birthed in pain. Dan is bewildered as Meg casually walks in, establishing Herbert's madness to her as the sorrowful shrieking of agony bounces throughout the basement walls. An attempt by Dan to come clean regarding West's medical breakthrough concerning reanimation to Dean Halsey. The two are considered mad and Herbert West is expelled from the school. With both Kane and West barred from the facility, the two students comically sneak inside the morgue to search for fresh human specimens to prove they aren't insane and that the strange reagent actually works. The duo finally settle on the right corpse and inject the illuminated liquid into the back of the stitched neck. After several minutes, the cold body snaps back to life, hollering frantically before violently lashing out in a violent rage. Dean Halsey fucks up real bad and gets himself unalived by the fresh walking dead. Herbert then puts down the ghoul with a bone saw, shredding its insides like a blender. With Halsey's fresh meat sack at his disposal, West salivates at the chance of injecting his green fluid into the freshest specimen yet. Obviously, Dan isn't too thrilled. Within minutes, Dean Halsey returns to life in a zombie-like state, mimicking the ferocity of previous experiments. Meg, alarmed by all the commotion, stumbles into this pervasive madness and discovers her father totally mutilated. Distraught, Meg begins to panic while Dean collapses to the cold floor in shock. Sometime later, Dr. Hill, who now has the undead Dean Halsey in a straitjacket locked in a padded observation cell, fervently attempts to acquire Meg's consent to pursue more drastic treatments, including laser lobotomy. Soon, Dan comes clean about her father's fate to Meg, while Dr. Hill pays West a very uncomfortable visit down in the old laboratory basement. Dr. Hill attempts to blackmail West into handing over his life's work and reagent to the old shyster. West concedes and allows Hill to see the process for himself by meticulously dabbing some of the reagent onto dead cat tissue under a microscope. Dr. Hill is astonished, dropping his guard down enough so that West can grab a weapon and whack him right upside his head viciously, causing Hill Hill to slump down onto the hard floor. With Dr. Hill dazed, West strikes down into Hill's neck with the shovel until the head finally detaches itself. Herbert, not having reanimated whole parts before, begins to inject some of his reagent into the base of the decapitated head, as well as the headless corpse straight into the lifeless heart. As West converses with Hill's reanimated head, distracting himself, the once dead body slowly lumbers towards West and knocks the cookie doctor out cold. Meanwhile, Dan and Meg sneak into Dr. Hill's office and uncover Hill's lustful obsession with Meg, as well as the brutal methods that Hill has been subjecting his dead patients to. Herbert West wakes up to discover all of his work has been stolen, including his serum, as West now easily manipulates Dan into being cooperative. The reanimated meat bag that is Dr. Hill rejuvenates its head by injecting more serum. A bath of fresh blood also does wonders to the gurgling flesh. The evil creature's laser lobotomies disclose a telepathic link between Hill and every other corpse that has been reanimated, causing Hill to have direct control over the undead, including having Dr. Halsey kidnap Meg and deliver her to the morgue. The undead Hill eventually makes his way into its former workplace under a brilliant disguise. When Meg comes to, she finds herself stripped naked, slabbed onto a cold table, having already been sexually assaulted. Meg knocks the false dummy head off of Hill's soldiers, screaming in terror. Hill's perversion elevates as his body grips his bloody head tight and pushes in between Megan's legs. In a stroke of luck, Herbert West arrives in time to interrupt Hill's debauchery. With West insulting Hill's actions, seemingly distracting the monster, Dan sneaks in from the back and carefully removes Meg from harm. After brief banter like two gunslingers before a trigger is pulled, West and Hill spar verbal jabs, revealing Hill has collected his own army of cadavers to fight for him. Acting like an undead hive mind, the dead meat puppets quickly overwhelm our heroes. Meg shouts at her daddy from the top of her lungs to break free from Hill's control. The former Alan Halsey responds by attacking Hill's body and crushing its head like a fucking grape. Amidst the chaos, West's final plan is overdose, and the results prove to have been deadly. While West is being aggressively smothered by a large mutated intestinal tendril, his notes and remaining reagent are tossed at Dan by West to secure its safety. As Dean Halsey's body is torn to smithereens, Dan and Meg escape the morgue, but not without Meg paying with her life, as one of the remaining corpses strangle her to death. Dan attempts to revive Meg, but it doesn't work. She's dead. She's gone. She ceased to exist. Dan is crushed and in despair. With one last-ditch effort, Dan professes his love for Megan and injects her with the serum. The coal black welcomes another as Megan's scream can be heard far in the distance.
I'm very disappointed in you. You steal the secret of life and death, and here you are, trysting with the bubble-headed co-ed. You're not even a second-rate scientist.
Oh, Mr. West, I'm actually glad to see you.